Guys, Afflicted here, and we're back with another episode of our Legion Talent Reviews, and this is episode 3, and of course we're on the third Warlock spec. This will be Demonology. Now before we jump into the actual review, I just want to say a few things quickly. First of all, thank you to everyone that's been watching the videos. We're at well over 200 views for the series, and that is fantastic. That's almost, around 200 times what we were getting on previous videos. So it looks like that you guys are at least a little bit interested in the Legion reviews. So we're going to go ahead and continue them. So thank you guys. And as always, if there's any criticism, or just suggestions, let me know, please. I read all the comments, all the Reddit posts, you name it. So feel free to subscribe if you want to, or comment. Let me know what would really help you enjoy the videos a lot more. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into the actual review now. Okay, now before we jump into the actual talent trees, I want to go over a few things that are important to the spec as a whole as far as demonology goes. So first of all, the class is running on a soul shard based system, 5 maximum shards, and your shard generators are going to be Doom. Okay, so every time it ticks, every 20 seconds, you're going to generate a soul shard. Okay, and the second one will be, let me find it here, Shadow Bolt. So every time you cast a Shadow Bolt, you generate 1 soul shard. So you're going to have no problems generating soul shards with Demonology, okay? Every time you Shadow Bolt, every time you Doom, that's 1 soul shard, okay? And you only have a maximum of 5, so, just think you're going to have 3 targets doomed the entire game, hopefully, in an arena match. Or more if you're doing rated battlegrounds or just battlegrounds in general. So you should have absolutely no problem with soul shard generation, okay? So now that we've covered the soul shard generation, the next thing I want to cover is the new abilities that the spec is going to be getting in Legion. So there are some new things, a lot more different than what's happening with Affliction and Destro in Legion. So let's go over each new ability that we're going to have, just so we have more context when we're looking through the talent tree, and have a better idea of what talents are good or not good depending on the playstyle we're looking for. Okay. So the first up is going to be Call Dreadstalkers. This costs 2 soul shards, which we just discussed will be readily available. It's a 2-second cast, which is a bit longer than average. 15-second cooldown, and it summons 2 pets, essentially, to attack the target for 12 seconds. So it's only a 3-second downtime and a 2-second cast. Okay, so very, very little downtime there. And it's going to summon 2 demons to attack your target. So it's just a little extra sustained DPS, a lot of pet damage, which seems to be the theme as far as demo goes. Okay, so the next spell we're going to take a look at is Hand of Gul'dan. So what's interesting to me is that this ability costs 1 to 4 soul shards, depending, okay? So it's a 1.5 second cast, which is average, and it's a 40-yard range. So it calls down a demonic meteor full of wild imps, which burst forth to attack the target for 12 seconds. Okay, so it deals Shadow Flame damage to all enemies within 8 yards and summons up to 5 wild imps based on the soul shards consumed. So, depending on how many soul shards you use on the spell, up to 4, it's going to summon wild imps to attack the target. So it's a little bit different than the Hand of Gul'dan we have on live right now. So, yet again, this is going to increase your, your sustained DPS. You're going to have a lot of demons coming out here, a lot of wild imps, and, which seems to be the play style of the spec. This expansion is going to be, no metamorphosis. It's going to be mainly focused on all of your pets doing the damage for you, it seems. So this seems to be an absolutely fantastic spell. So far, it deals damage and summons pets. That's exactly what you want. Now, next up on the list is going to be Demonic Empowerment. So this is a 1.5 second cast. Okay, 3 charges. 12-second recharge for each one, and it empowers up to 3 of your active demons with dark energies, increasing their haste and health by 50% for 12 seconds. Okay, and this obviously prefers your stronger demons first, so your Felguards and your Dreadstalkers. So this empowers your demons. Okay, yet another sustained DPS increase for your pets. It seems to be they're really straight shooting here with the playstyle that they want for you in Legion. Pet based, sustained damage, and this is really the king of them all. Empowers up to 3 of your active demons, and spoiler alert, there's a talent in the tree that extends that to all of your demons, not just your 3 strongest, but all of your wild imps, your Dreadstalkers, your Felguard, you know. So this, we're going to come back to this quite often in the talent tree. Great spell, very, very good. Now the next spell we're going to go into will be Demon Wrath. So this costs mana per second. It's channel cast, okay, up to 3 seconds. No cooldown. And it is your demons crackle with demonic energy. Every second, all enemies within 10 yards of any of your demons take 25% of spell power damage. Okay? Each time it deals damage, it has a 15% chance to generate a soul shard, and this can be used while moving. Okay? So it has no cooldown. It does cost mana, but it's a channeled spell that can be cast while moving. And it basically empowers any of your demons. If they are nearby any of your enemies, you have a chance to generate a soul shard. So this is on top of Doom. This is on top of Shadow Bolt. This is yet another soul shard generator that also does damage. So it's very clear that soul shards are not going to be an issue for you as Demo. You're definitely going to be getting these quite often. Okay, so this is yet another fantastic spell, which seems to be in line with the spec so far. All very good spells. Okay, so now that we've covered the main spec changes and the new abilities, the core abilities and your soul shard generators, we're going to go ahead and jump into the actual talent tree. But it was important to kind of outline, you know, the backbone of the spec there, so we know what we're working with. So first off, tier 15, Shadowy Inspiration. Demonic Empowerment also causes your next Shadow Bolt to be instant. So Demonic Empowerment is just a haste buff to your pets that we discussed. So every time you give a haste buff to your pets, it's going to make your next Shadow Bolt instant. Now Shadow Bolt is your Soul Shard generator. So that seems to be pretty good. Let's take a look at the rest before we decide. Shadow Flame. Instant cast spell with 2 charges, 14-second recharge for each one. Lava Ball of Shadow Flame at the target, dealing Shadow Flame damage and damage over time for 8 seconds, and it generates a Soul Shard. Now, I don't think this is going to be very good. It doesn't have a slow or anything like the Shadow Flame that we're used to. And we've already discussed that Soul Shards are really going to not be a problem for you as Demo Warlock. You have a lot of generators, and the damage is not all that high. So I don't think this is going to be a mandatory spell, at the very least. I don't think it's the one to go with in the tier. Okay, so Demonic Calling, next spell. Shutterbolt has a 10% chance to make your next Call of Dreadstalkers free. So if we take a look at Call of Dreadstalkers, it does cost 2 Soul Shards. So this would remove the cost, which we already discussed. Soul Shards are not going to be a big issue, but this one does cost 2 shards. That could, it would be an overall damage increase if you have more shards to use, more Dreadstalkers to summon. Not sure if there's going to be a cap on Dreadstalkers you can have out. If not, then this could be very good. You could have, a ton of Dreadstalkers running around. So, all in all, I think that Demonic Calling is going to be the choice so far. Just because 2 Soul Shards, even though you have a lot of generation, this is going to help a lot with your damage output and keeping your Dreadstalkers going. Next up on the list is going to be tier 30, which in my opinion is one of the best tiers for Demonology locks. First up, we have Impending Doom. So Doom also summons 2 wild imps when it deals damage. Now, as we discussed earlier, Doom also generates a soul shard. Every 20 seconds it deals damage, and you should have this rolling on all 3 members of the arena at all times. Okay, so this could generate up to 6 wild imps at a time per tick every 20 seconds. And we're going to assume that there's no cap to wild imps. So every 20 seconds, 6 imps coming out. Now, if we refer back to our new spells with Demonic Empowerment, this is going to increase all 6 of your imps, which are coming out every 20 seconds from the Dooms, remember, all 6 imps haste by 50%, okay? That's incredible. If you stack that on top of your Dreadstalkers and on top of your regular Felguard, that's amazing, okay? So far, this seems, I'm not sure how the other talents could beat this, but let's check before we jump to conclusions, okay? Next talent, Improved Dreadstalkers. Called Dreadstalkers now also summons 2 wild imps. Now, you would have to, on average, you would have to get a Call Dreadstalkers off, you would have to get it off 3 times within 20 seconds to match the numbers that we just discussed for Doom. Because if you have all 3 Dooms rolling, they tick every 20 seconds, that's going to be 6 imps per Doom tick, okay? And this is going to be 2 imps per Call Dreadstalkers. So I don't think that you're going to be getting a 2-second cast off that costs 2 soul shards, 3 times per 20 seconds. I don't think that's going to happen. So far, Impending Doom is just a higher DPS than the improved Dreadstalkers. An Implosion, 6% of base mana, it's an instant cast. Demonic Forces suck all of your wild imps toward the target and then cause them to explode, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. So this is just a single target with a small AoE burst spell that sacrifices all of the imps that you have to deal damage. So this is, kind of veering off the path from the sustained DPS via pets. Okay, this is actually adding a bit of single target burst in there as well. So, depending on how much damage the imps do with their standard cast, this could be good, or maybe depending on the comp you're playing. If you're playing, a bigger burst comp, then this could definitely be the better choice. But in my opinion, Impending Doom is just going to be the superior pick here. Next up at tier 45, we have the standard crowd control tier and partial survivability that we've already discussed in the past 2 videos. Go ahead and check those out if you haven't. We went over the destruction tree, we went over the affliction tree, and we've already discussed this tier in depth. But just to sum it up, we're going to go ahead and go with Shadow Fury here. 30-second cooldown. It does have a 1.5-second cast time, but a 3-second AoE stun, you can't beat that. Go ahead and go with Shadow Fury. Alright, and nextly we have tier 60. Hand of Doom. Hand of Gul'dan now also applies Doom to all enemies that it hits. I don't think this is going to be a very good spell at all, or talent I should say, just for the simple fact that Doom, it just costs a little bit of mana, but it's simply a global, is all it takes. It doesn't have a cast time, doesn't have a soul shard cost, all you have to do is apply it. So why would you need this when it's equally as simple to just apply it manually? So go ahead and skip out on that one. Now this is the talent here that I think is going to be insane. Power Trip. We already kind of discussed this earlier on, but Power Trip. Demonic Empowerment now affects all of your active demons, okay? So not just 3 of them, every single active demon you have out, every wild imp, every Felguard, every Dreadstalker, this affects their haste, increases it by 50%, and their health as well. This seems insane. I think this is going to be the backbone of the spec here. Just, if you're able to get the Demonic Empowerment cast off, your damage is just going to skyrocket with this spell. I love this. I can't see how anything is going to be better than that. So we're going to go ahead and select that for now. And Soul Harvest is just the same as we've discussed in the past two talent trees, Affliction and Destro. Just refills all 5 soul shards, 2-second cast, 2-minute cooldown. Like we've already said a few times here, your soul shard generation for Demonology is already going to be pretty darn good. So go ahead and skip out on Soul Harvest. Power Trip is the way to go. 2 thumbs up for me. Now, unfortunately, next up, we're going to have tier 75. This is my least favorite tier by far. I've already discussed how I'm not very happy with the design of this tier. I hope that they actually revamp it with the next Legion beta build or something soon. But, just to sum it up, port, speed increase, and then small shield from your pet's health. You need port. It's just such a mandatory warlock spell that putting it in a talent tree is absolutely absurd. You need the spell as a warlock almost all the time. I would say 98% of the time. Go ahead and pick this spell, and please, Blizzard, will you replace this with an actual choice instead of just a mandatory spell that you've ripped out of the current class's spellbook and threw it into a talent tree. It's not good design. Change it. Tier 90. This is the pet tier, which is going to be very important for demo locks, obviously. We have Supremacy, which is the same as it is now. Increases your pet's health and damage by 20%, which is, obviously very important since your Felguard is going to be doing a lot of your damage. So this seems to be very good so far. Grimoire Service, instantly summon a second demon for 25 seconds. So this is going to be a second Felguard. Now, I want to pause a moment here for take a quick look at some synergy. Power Trip is going to affect all of your active demons. So this includes, your second Felguard, which you would really have to check the numbers on which is going to be more DPS here. But in my opinion, just to increase sustain with Supremacy is going to be better than the second Felguard. So far we're going to Supremacy. And then Grimoire of Synergy, same thing as it is now in live. Anytime you or your demon deal damage, there's a chance to increase the other's damage by 15%. This could be good, but I still think that the increased sustained damage from your pet, just your standard Felguard, with a demonic empowerment increasing its haste, is going to be a higher DPS than the other two. So we're going to go ahead and go with Supremacy for now. And last but not least, we have tier 100. So let's take a look here. Summon Inquisitor. So this is going to cost a soul shard. It's going to be an instant cast and a 24-second cooldown. Okay. So it summons a pet that will launch Shadowfrost volleys at all targets that you have doomed. Lasts 18 seconds. So it summons a pet, costs a soul shard, 24-second cooldown. Okay, lasts 18 seconds, and it deals AoE, basically frost bolts, at all targets that you have doomed, which better be all targets in the arena. Otherwise, you're just playing the spec wrong. Fix that, okay? Doom all the targets. So, it's only a 6-second downtime, and it's going to be an AoE cast. Now, if you think about this with your demonic empowerment, that's going to increase the haste. This thing is going to be casting, 50% faster. So the questions I have to raise is there going to be a limit on these? Because so far we have your Felguard, that's 1. You have your 2 Dreadstalkers, that's 3. Then you have the 6 Imps, per tick of Doom on all 3 targets. That's 9 pets so far. This makes 10, okay? And then with your Demonic Empowerment increasing all of your pets' haste by 50%, I mean, just think of the numbers that are going to be appearing on your screen. So many numbers, so much damage. This seems very good so far. Demon Bolt. 2.5-second cast, and it costs mana. Draw energy from your demons and launch a ball of demonic energy at the target, dealing chaos damage. Damage is increased by 30% for each demon that you have, and it generates a soul shard, but it replaces Shadow Bolt. So this takes out your damage filler and replaces it, with a form of burst damage. Now a 2.5-second cast, so it's similar to the Demon Bolt that we have on live, which is, the stacking damage. So I think this is going to be another instance where it depends on if you want sustained AoE damage from your pets, or do you want a little extra single target burst. And Demon Bolt is certainly the way to go if you're looking for the single target burst. But in my opinion, Summon Inquisitor with a Demonic Empowerment synergy, I think is too good to pass up so far, even though Demon Bolt seems to be a very good spell. And lastly, we have Demonic Servitude. You're now able to maintain your control over greater demons indefinitely. The Felguard is certainly good enough. I don't think this is a talent that you should ever consider. Summon Inquisitor is definitely the best pick in this tier. Alright, so now that we're done with the standard talent tree review, we're going to go ahead and move over to the PvP talent review. And a lot of these tiers are exactly the same as they were in the previous videos, Affliction and the Destruction. So in that case, we're just going to give the quick summary and skip on to the next tier. Okay, so the first tier is one of those examples. We've already discussed all of these. In my opinion, Relentless with the human racial and PvP trinket is going to be the best choice. Okay, so we're going to go with that for now. Next tier, same thing. No team in your right mind is going to, go 8 seconds without ever attacking you. That's just not going to happen. Mind quickness, 15% haste increase, that's very good. And critical chance increase that targets above 80% health. You're not looking to do insane burst as Demonology, so skip out on that one. Mind quickness is the way to go. Next tier, same as it was for the past 2 videos, you're going to switch between tongues or weakness depending on what comp you're going against. Do you need to reduce melee damage, or do you need to reduce the amount of spell cast going out? Very simple. Just go ahead and switch between those. Next tier, we've already discussed this. Demon Skin is by far the superior talent, and it's even increased importance for the Demonology Warlock, because keeping your pets alive is one of the most important parts. So increased healing received by your demons, that's very good as well. Now the next tier is where things get interesting, okay? So let's see. This spell, Improved Demonic Empowerment. Demonic Empowerment is now instant cast, okay? So it removes the cast time on your haste buff to your demons, and it's now instant, so you don't even have to worry about getting it off. This is absolutely insane. Just reading this spell makes me want to jump into the Legion beta and play some Demo Warlock. This is crazy. I can't see how anything's going to be better than this, but so far I love this talent. Okay, next up, Demonic Resilience. Reduces the duration of snares, roots, and stun effects on your summoned demons by 75%. So that's actually a pretty high percentage, for tenacity there. But at the same time, I think that your Felguard with the charge and just the fact that your pets don't really get CC'd that much to begin with, I don't think this is that good. Even as a standalone talent, and especially not up against a powerhouse like Improved Demonic Empowerment. That is fantastic. So definitely going to skip out on Demonic Resilience. Now, Mana Feed. Dreadstalker melee attacks restore 1% of your maximum mana. Well, you already have Life Tap, and with this being with Improved Demonic Empowerment being such a high damage increase, just go ahead and press Life Tap. I know that we haven't pushed that button at all during Warlords of Draenor, this expansion. So go ahead and skip Mana Feed. Just push the Life Tap button. Just do it, okay? And the last tier here, looks like one of the spells isn't quite updated yet. So we'll go ahead and check the middle one out. Dreadstalker Frenzy. Your Dreadstalkers gain Frenzy for 5 seconds when summoned, attacking 50% faster. So this is on top of the haste that you're already going to be getting from Demonic Empowerment. So your Dreadstalkers are going to be doing absolutely insane damage. Now, if you pick this talent, you need to be sure to, keep the 2 soul shards readily available so you can keep the Dreadstalkers out at all times. Keep their uptime as high as possible. It's going to be extra important with this talent, but it seems very good. And lastly, we have Call Observer. Summons an observer over a friendly target's head, shooting lasers at the nearest enemy every X seconds for 30 seconds. Deals more damage to the close. A little bit of a typo. The closer the enemy is, 1 minute cooldown. So what comes to my mind when I see this is, first of all, is the observer going to be affected by demonic empowerment? If so, that's just a bonus. And this also seems a talent that you could maybe go if you're playing, for example, WLS. You're playing with a healer that gets targeted very often by melee, especially like a Resto Shaman, and you could just summon this observer over their head to deal damage to the Mongoloids that are training him. So this could be a viable option. We're not sure what the third talent choice is yet, but so far I think that Dreadstalker Frenzy, as long as you can keep them active, is going to be the best choice so far. Alright, so that concludes the first section of our Legion Talent Review series as Warlock. We covered all 3 specs, and I certainly learned a lot. I hope that you guys learned a lot and also enjoyed. I plan to do Shaman as the next class and go ahead and cover all of the talent trees there as I played each spec to relatively decent rating. So hopefully I'll have some good insight there. Now, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. Let me know if you watch all the way to the end, because I'm just curious how many people kind of tuned in for a short amount of time, or how many people actually watch all the way to the end. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section if you stayed till the end. Thank you very much if you did. And go ahead and like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos. And I'll catch you guys later.